Hi there, Hollywood Times viewers. Today we welcome two band members from the 80s band World Goes Round. We have Elizabeth Lammers, who's the co-lead vocals, and guitarist Marty Walsh. Hi, you two. How you doing?
Great. Just
fabulous.
Yes?
Yeah.
So what have you two been doing, first of all, during this pandemic? Let's always talk about that.
Marty?
Well, I work at Berklee College of Music in Boston, so you know, all classes for the college are virtual. So I've been really just hanging in my studio here, doing classes, working on some other music with different people. You know, always talking to the people in the band. There's a lot going on with World Goes Round. So you know, I talked to Frank and Tommy, and Elizabeth. I haven't talked to you in some time, but there's always banter going on and things happening with the band. So, you know, just keeping busy.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, we chat a lot, an awful lot, the five of us. Tommy, Jeff.
Great.
Frank.
Yeah. Because you guys have a new single that you just released, right? Put It on the Line?
Put It on the
Yes.
Line. Yeah.
Let's talk about that single, who wrote it, and folks out there, listen, this was back in the 80s when this band was around and they found a cassette. And that was it Tommy Vicari was your producer on this?
Yes, yeah, Tommy,
life?
yeah.
All right, so let's talk about it.
That particular song was, Elizabeth, do you mind?
Oh, you go for it.
Jump in. That particular song was the first thing that I wrote with Frank, and this was after I met Elizabeth working with John Denver, and she introduced me to Frank. And the band it was not a band yet. It was just, I'm going to write some songs with Frank Musker. And so we sat down and we started to write a song, and I knew that Michael McDonald was doing a solo record and was looking for material. So we penned this song, Put It on the Line, for him specifically. And once we did the demo, I called him and said, look, I've got this song. I'd like you to hear it. We went up to his manager's office. He listened to it. He said, I love your song, but I've got 7 songs that are similar to that on this album, and I have to get rid of one of them. My record company wants me to get rid of one of them. So that was the end of that. And then, I don't know, a while later, Frank, you know, called me, and he had met Jeff and said, look, we're going to do this. We want to do this band, and we want to incorporate you with it. And so the initial thrust was the cassette that was found. And then after that, we actually had to produce more material. So we went back into the archives of the tapes that we had, the actual, you know, recordings and stuff. And Tommy took it, and we did more recording on it. Jeff Hull got involved and did a whole bunch of stuff to the track. And it's the 3rd release, and we're very proud of it, you know.
Very proud of it. And then there's a video associated with it as well. I'm not sure if you've seen it yet, but the video is very powerful, very moving. About frontline workers and people who stick their neck out every day to make it happen. We're super proud of that as well. Tommy
Absolutely.
And his daughter had so much they put so much effort into that, which was surprising. That'll keep you off the streets during COVID, you know. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Did Tommy produce your other two, Big House, which was amazing, by the way, and Around the World? Did he also produce those and do the videos?
Yes, yes.
Oh, the Big House is amazing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And we had help with Dominic, Frank's writing partner, Dominic Bugatti. He helped us as well with the first couple of videos, he and his wife. And so we're very proud of the visuals, and we're super proud of them. We've got a website you can go to and see the videos and read the story about the band, World Goes Round. worldgoesround.info. We'll take you right there.
Sure will.
Right, shameless plug.
keep them going throughout this. We want to make sure that we spread the word. So Marty, so you're a songwriter as well, right?
Yeah, I've written songs. My brother was a hit songwriter. He was a little bit older than me, and that was really the goal. You know, I made a living as a guitarist, but the goal was always to try to write the hit. You know, and so I spent a lot of time writing stuff, and I never really had the big success. My brother Dan had some big records, you know, in his career. And songwriting is an interesting thing. There's some people have just a knack for it. Frank Musker is fabulous. You sit down with Frank Musker and you play music and he comes up with lyrics. I mean, put it on the line. How did he come up with? I never would have thought of that lyrically. And he had the melody. I mean, there are certain people that just have that knack. And I've spent a lot of time doing it. I've done a couple of different records. I've had a few things cut. Never had the big hit. But hey, put it on the line, baby. Could be the one. You know, might finally happen.
Might be the one. Might do the
Yeah, that'd be great.
Very
Isn't
exciting.
it something that, so Marty, do you happen to have a cassette there in your studio? I'm trying to tell the viewers what a cassette is. They probably don't know what a cassette.
I've actually got which one? Well, this is a cassette, yes. And this machine right up here is turn on the lights. This is a cassette player that I bought on eBay so that I could play the cassette that I found in the attic that we, recorded 30 years ago.
Isn't that something? I mean, you found it in your attic. How did that happen? You were just
Tommy emailed me or sent me a message on Facebook, and he says, "Do you have a copy of that music that we did?" And so I go, I got a tape banging around up in the attic somewhere, and months go by, literally. And I'm up there doing something, and I look, and there was a box of tapes, and I go, "Oh yeah, I got to get that tape out," So I did. I played it, and I'm listening to it, going, "This is really good." It was 3 of the songs, and so I, ran it off into my computer, and I sent it off to Frank and Tommy. I hadn't talked to Elizabeth in 30 years, something, or Jeff Hall. I have completely lost touch with those two. I was in touch with Frank just a little bit, but Tommy and I have always kind of communicated. So I sent it off, and the 3 of them were blown away. And we go, we got to find these other 2. Like, where the hell are they? And we found them, and then I found what was it? 4 more songs that were from the cassette, and then those wound up. I think 5 of them total came from the cassette, and then there were 5 that were actually worked on. Once we got the project rolling, it was like, oh, well, we can actually get the tape, the physical tape that we recorded it onto, and go back and tweak and do stuff, redo things,
Elizabeth, how did you feel when they reached out to you, when Marty reached out to you?
It's a shocker that we're all still, we got right back to where we were those 30 years earlier. We just reconnected instantly, but such a surprise out of nowhere. And then the COVID happened, and here we are, and we're finishing up an album that we started 30 years ago in our own individual studios and homes. Frank's in Europe, and we're here on the Jeff and I and Tommy are here, but we're far apart on the in Southern California, and Marty in Boston, and we're finishing up the album on the internet, so to speak. It's crazy.
Something else too is I found Elizabeth. I found some email for you, and I sent a message to her, and I took a while. I'm like, I'm not hearing from her. What's going on? And finally, she texted me. She says, "Oh, that's not the email to use. I guess you don't check that one very often or something." And then you gave me your proper one, and it was like, "Oh, hey, dig, I've got these songs."
That's crazy. But it's crazy we can find each other and get back in touch like this,
Yeah.
Isn't it something, we're all dealing with this pandemic in different ways. It's mostly not happy, sad times. And yet this story, that's why it touches my heart, because this story is, everyone needs to hear your story, see it, listen to your music that is so relevant today and the times we're going through. It's just such a spiritual, godly thing that happened. I'm really happy for you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's really lovely.
And honestly, look, without COVID, I mean, there's obviously, you can't really come up with something good that came out of it, but Tommy Vicari is a busy guy. He had 3 films he was doing this year, and for him to have the actual time to revisit all of this music, he spent 3 months or something like that with Jeff, redoing tracks, and they would send me stuff. They'd send Elizabeth stuff, and we're recording in our studios. We're sending files back to them. He wouldn't have had the time to do this if we weren't shut down, but we were, and it was a project that he certainly had, a a love for. And thank God that he was able to do it, you know, and very proud of it.
I would say this is your 401k right here, right?
Wouldn't that be sweet?
Wouldn't that be great?
It is. You guys are going to be like, you know, living
Yeah.
in that
You know,
small house on the hill. Not a
I
big
gotta
house.
tell you though, I gotta tell you, Frank Musker, when I first met him, and we wrote that song, put it on the line, and we wrote a few other things, and he would say to me, he'd say, Marty, it's like dropping money in the bank. It's like dropping money in the bank, you know? I mean, I remember that all those years, and like, okay, Frank, okay, thank you, let's do this, let's get some hits, buddy, you know, money in the bank. And the stuff, it took 30 years for it to surface, but here it is, you know?
Yeah, that's a 401 for you.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Elizabeth, let's hear about your career.
How about my career?
All these years.
A lot of voiceovers, a lot of work on cartoons and animated films and commercials, and lots of studio work. I traveled for a while doing tours, Linda Ronstadt and John Denver, where I met Marty.
Oh,
But most of my live performance has been in jazz for many years now, and I still perform. In fact, this year, 6 months of this year, that's the longest I've ever gone in my life since I was 10, not performing. So it's exciting. Just now, I'm getting back out and doing gigs. They're all outside. They're all social distance apart, you know. And just this last month, I've done 4 gigs, and I'm thrilled to be out and playing.
wow. So promote yourself. How can we find you for your
Elizabeth
music and jazz?
Lammers, and I'm launching a new website right now, but there's a way to shout out to me and be added to the mailing list, and I let people know where I'm playing all the
Did
time.
you have singing lessons when you were young? How did you get into music and jazz and all that?
No, I didn't, but my parents were both crazy about music. My father played piano and played jazz standards. When I was growing up, there was always jazz going on in my house, and so it just seeped in there somehow. And here I am years later. It's my first love, but performing and singing parts, something I always loved to do. And it's been a joy to sing again with Frank Musker and layering these parts down. And some of the guys sing on these tracks too with us. It's really exciting to sing harmonies with people. Love it.
And how did you hook up with World Goes Round all those years ago?
Well, Frank and I got together. I think I was singing jazz in a club in Hollywood, and at that time I started working with John Denver too, and we just all connected through different things. We were all just bouncing in and out. All of us had work with different artists, and we'd come in the room and go, "What about this?" And it just was a very creative time, super creative.
Well, that's
Absolutely.
great. That's a great story.
Well,
And how about you, Marty? How did you get started in writing songs? You said you were younger when you did that. When was your first song?
Well,
you
my
wrote?
my first song.
Yes, come
I
on.
remember it. My
You do?
first song. This was coming out of the '60s. Tenants' Argument.
oh no.
It's about like getting kicked out of your house.
What?
I must have been 15 or something, you know. Tenants' argument. It's a tenants' Anyway, my father was a musician. My brothers were in music. I had 2 older brothers, so it was just, you know, a natural progression. You know, I want to do what my father did. My family were musicians. I'm like, yeah, let's do that. Like, you know. So I was fortunate. You know, I started playing drums when I was 12, and my brother convinced me to switch to guitar at 15. And I just was immersed in it and it was the typical thing, play the high school dances, all that, went to college, studied music. And growing up in LA, there were people that I knew coming up that were the next generation of musicians. That were touring musicians and studio players. And so I could see the path. It was very visible to me. And, you know, one thing led to another. And I'm in my early 20s and I get a gig touring with, I had a few different people that I toured with, and then I decided to focus on doing sessions, and I became, successful as a studio musician. And then John Denver, that I hadn't toured in years. And John Denver, I did a record with John where I met Elizabeth and Frank, actually, because Frank had a song on this record we were doing. And John asked me to go on the road, and I was so taken by him. He was such an incredible human being.
Wow.
And I remember sitting down with my wife saying, you know, I haven't toured in forever, and I don't really want to go on the road because, you know, you leave town and all of a sudden people are calling you and you're not there. And there was always that kind of, do I want to go or not? But John was such a, you know, wonderful person. And there was just this vibe, and the band was killer. Telemarketers. The band was killer, you know, and so they picked it up, telemarketer picked it up. And so, so I said to my wife, Libby, I said, look, I think I want to go do this, you know? And so off we went, and it wasn't a long tour. They were like, I think, Elizabeth, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like we were going out and doing these kind of like short, you know, runs. We would do a few days here, and then we'd come back, and we'd do a few days there. And it didn't last as long as I would have liked, because I loved that gig. It was just the best, you know?
All the people were sensational, all the people working around him. And that speaks volumes about him. He was just a remarkable man. People ask me about, what was he really like? Exactly the way you imagine. He was that person, just generous and warm and present and a great listener and a great communicator. It was fantastic being on stage with him and watching the audience just suck it all up, you know, and just enjoy every minute of it. And it was a reciprocal thing. He was an amazing person to work with. Really a joy. Really a joy.
Came through on the television shows, when he was in movies, you could just tell that, oh, I just want to meet him. I just want to, you know, go to dinner, talk about, you know, he just seemed like such an amazing man. What a loss.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember at the very last gig we did, we had a big dinner and everybody was there. And I remember standing up going, toast to you people John, thank you so much for hiring me. And over the years, people have said to me, who's the greatest person you ever worked with? And and I've worked with some really nice people and some great gigs, and it's all been great. But there was something about that guy that was just, as a person, and the way that you were treated on the road, and the whole thing was just so, there was a love in the air. I don't know. It was just John. And you had this sense that you were part of something bigger than just a gig, you know? It was something. It really was.
Just a tremendous human being. Really.
Elizabeth, you and Marty and those who worked with him, you guys should write like a little small book about him. You know, we would love to hear and read stories about John Denver. Wouldn't that be great if you guys could put something together during this downtime? Like you have downtime.
I do have a page on my website about it. I did a blog about my career that took me a year to write, and I think there were 48 episodes total. And there's a page where I talk about John and Elizabeth and the whole thing. You know.
How do we find that?
MartyWalsh.com/blog.
Okay.
And it'll take you right to my blog. It starts with, I'm 15 years old, I'm playing guitar. And it ends with, you know, I'm at Berklee College of Music, hanging with my old friend Steve Lukather and stuff. You know, it's fun stuff. It was good. It was a hoot doing it.
Very cool. I love
Elizabeth.
Yes.
You need to do one of those, Elizabeth. Do a blog like that with your career and John and jazz. That would be awesome.
Thank you. Well, we've got lots of stories, lots of good John Denver stories out there. I tell you what.
How long were you with him, Elizabeth?
I was with him for about, a couple of albums. We met on Dreamland Express. Frank Musker actually had 2 songs on that album, which was terrific. I think 3-4 albums, all the way. We finished the only album he won a Grammy with is, it was a children's album about trains. And we finished that just weeks before he died.
Wow.
And we were in the studio together finishing that with Roger Nichols. Not too shabby, and it was just a great experience. And so you asked how long. I think 4 or 5 years. 4 or 5
You know,
years.
there is a video of Elizabeth and I, and John, of the song that was released from Dreamland Express. What do you remember the title?
Let me be the one that you long
Yeah,
for.
yeah. It's on YouTube. You can find it.
Let me be the one that you love. Like
Yeah.
that. It's just the three of us, and we're doing Solid Gold. Marty,
Yeah.
us on Solid Gold.
Yeah.
You guys have to send that to me.
Oh yeah.
Send it to me and I can add it to this. That would be great.
Great.
Oh my
Sure.
God.
Dreamland Express. That was the name of the song. That was the
Okay.
title
Right.
track for the album.
Right. Title
Google
track.
that,
Right.
Dreamland Express. You'll see the three of us, Marty and I with John. Great. fun.
Wow. Some fond memories. Well, let's talk a little bit about the fond memories you both had with World Goes Round, like when you started with it and how that was back in the 80s. Let's talk about those times.
We were living in Laurel Canyon on Rid Path in Laurel Canyon. We were living in a house that had this huge California redwood in the middle of it, growing straight up through it. And we built the studio down below. And we were all just, like I said, working with top people around town, great musicians, really an inspiring time, bouncing off of each other and off of the walls and making lots of cups of coffee in the kitchen. Cups of tea for Frank.
Yeah. Tea. Yeah.
T.O.
Tea, British tea. And it was a fun time. We all had ideas, things we wanted to talk about. And we found that often in the pop music, you'd write something generic, a love song, a happy song, or falling in love, whatever. Anyway, we wanted to talk about things that were near and dear to us. And more the lyrics kept coming out about the planet and the environment and inequality and such, and these things that we're still all talking about. And so the songs seem to have a very current feel to them, especially lyrically, in my opinion. Marty, you agree?
Absolutely.
And
It's amazing. Frank was so ahead of his time. I mean, he was talking about climate change and, you know, all this stuff, you know, all that time ago. And here we are, and, you know, not much has changed. And the messages that, you know, that the messages of the songs, Big House, Put It on the Line. I mean, you know, and we've got some pop stuff too that's dance and fun and all that, you know, but some of the songs were definitely geared towards that kind of idea of, you know, we've got to make a difference in the world. And so here we are, hoping to make a difference in the world.
So when is the full album going to be released?
October 30th.
Yeah.
And then right up.
And how can we get that? Can we get it in CD form, or is it going to be digital? How can we purchase it? Do you know?
It's digital.
Okay.
At this point, but am I right, Marty, that they're going to press? We will have an LP as well.
Yeah. Vinyl.
Yeah.
Vinyl.
I love vinyls. Awesome.
I love that about you.
I love vinyls. Oh my goodness.
I'm assuming they'll make CDs as well. But
Yeah.
you know, nowadays everybody consumes music by streaming, except for vinyl fanatics, you know, that are going to go out and buy the vinyl. I can't wait to get the vinyl. It's going to be cool.
Me
you know?
neither. Oh my
The
gosh.
artwork's really, really nice. You know, the people that worked on it did a great job. It's great.
I think you should tell whoever's doing it, it should be colorized, like maybe green for the environment or something. Like the vinyl can be colored now, you know? That'd be kind of awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Come on.
Right.
Anyway, we're going a record label, Viper Records. And
Viper, okay.
if you Google that, you can find all the information you'd need for it. But we're very excited about the release of the entire album. In fact, now we're all talking about what the next single is going to be. And it's just great fun. It's great to have this.
So you guys get together via Zoom to talk about like the next single?
Yeah, well, not for this last one, but we've been on Zoom a couple of times and banged around and threw ideas around and figuring it out. This is the way we all do this now.
Yeah. It's kind of cool. You know, I kind of like it. You know, it's like I don't like the fact that poor kids have to be home and homeschooled and not go to school. That's been kind of tough on my other grandsons, but you know, it is what it is. We all have to stay safe.
Yeah, true. Very true.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do either of you venture out much during the pandemic? You stay safe when you go out?
Oh, of course, you stay safe here. Mask up. You're
Do you have your mask handy?
Do I?
I always have my people put their mask on. We got to see you with your mask on. Oh, there you go. Come on, Marty, you got to
Hey,
put it
wait,
on.
well, I got my headphones on, but it's kind of like that. You know?
Okay, it's cool.
Dog.
Yeah.
Let's see Elizabeth. We can't see Elizabeth. She goes out of the screen. Come on, let's go. How do we get Elizabeth on here?
I'm here.
There it is. Oh, that's beautiful. Has it got a dog on it?
Yeah, a surfing dachshund.
Oh my goodness, I love it.
Oh,
That's
thank you.
beautiful.
Anime. My son's into anime, and my other
Oh.
son surfs, and we all love dogs. So you got to have all of it in one thing.
There you go. Oh, both of you, how are your families, kids, wives, husbands? Everyone's good?
Everyone's good. I had 2 sons graduate during the pandemic, one from high school and one from college. And so they finished their last year here at the house, which was interesting, but they did. And the youngest son, who was going to go to the same college as my middle son, ended up staying home. He's doing community college from home rather than us pay for college when you can't go to college. You know?
Right.
He's doing community college. We've got a fine community college just up the road here. It's Saddleback. And
Yeah, Saddleback.
He's in the next room doing what he does, you know.
What's his major?
He hasn't declared a major yet,
Okay.
and he doesn't have to with the situation right now. He's doing like the first 2 years, it's just all general studies.
Got it.
And then
Very
we'll
good.
see what happens. But that's what's going on with them. They're doing great. They're all doing just great.
Thanks for sharing. How
Yeah,
about you, Marty?
I've got 2 kids, you know, and my wife works from home, so that's been, she's always been doing that. And then I got 2 kids that teach music. So they were working at a music school, but it just went to virtual, and it's kind of been seamless, you know. One of my sons, you know, actually picked up a lot more clients. He subsequently actually left the school and just started his own business, you know. My other son had left the school as well and started his own thing. You know, he's still working on getting more clients and stuff like that. But it is interesting because there are so many people now. I teach at Berklee, and I also, you know, I'm doing online classes there, but they have a whole online school. And there are a lot of people that are signing up for these online classes because everybody's home. They're going, oh, I like music. Why don't I go to Berklee and take an online class from Berklee College of Music? And, you know, and then I've just been working from home, and you know, everything seems to be flowing reasonably well. You know, and venturing out, you know, I go to the market in the morning once a week, you know, and I go do what I have to go do. I'm not going to go, you know, do extracurricular things, but you know, haven't gone out to dinner at a restaurant yet. I'm like, no, thanks. You know, I'm trying to stay as safe as I can, you know.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want you both safe, all 4 of you, because we want some more of this music. We can't wait
Yeah.
for it to come out. And congratulations to your
Thank you.
long careers.
Thank you.
so much. Thank you. And thanks for
Any-
having us. It's
No
really a
problems.
pleasure.
Any last words from either of you before we say goodbye?
Go to worldgoesround.info. I say that.
Yes. Yes.
Check out the videos. They're gorgeous. They're really worth sitting. They're just amazing. And the sound, Tommy Vicari, just the record sounds brilliant. Super proud of it.
Put It on the Line. The video of Put It on the Line will make you cry.
It will.
It really will. It's just when Tommy, you know, finished it, and Diane finished this thing, it just you know, I mean, I looked at it, and I was like, oh my God. I mean, this is just, you know, this is just, it's too much, you know, just the way it's all set up with the first responders, and you know, and people that are from around the world that are protesting, and you know, I mean, it's It's really, it's quite compelling. I'm, you know, that particular piece is a song that I always loved. I always felt it should have a place. It's finally found a place. And not only that, there was this incredibly compelling video that was made for it. And I really hope that a lot of people will see it because, yeah, it'll definitely move you emotionally, without a doubt, you know.
Yeah.
Can't wait to spread the word.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you both so much.
A pleasure to meet you.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
pleasure
much.
to meet you.
Thank you.